Hi guys, many students come to me and ask how to clear the IFoS cutoff in the upcoming UPSC Prelims 2026, and I would like to tell them you should always work on two levels, and if you want to understand those two levels, please make sure that you watch this video till the end. Now, after clearing the IFoS cutoff for 4 times and attending one IFoS interview, as well as guiding many IFoS students who have got All India Rank 1, such as Surajban and Ritvika Pandey, I feel that I have some credibility to give you a strategy on how to go about clearing the IFoS cutoff. Remember one thing, that before I give out the entire strategy, there are some ground rules I would like to establish. The first is level 1 should always be completed before you go to level 2. The second is level 1 itself will always guarantee you to clear civil service cutoff, hence level 1 is very important. The third is level 1 sometimes can itself help you to clear IFoS cutoff. And 4 is when you do level 2, it will increase your probability of clearing IFoS cutoff. It does not guarantee you clearing IFoS cutoff because it all comes down to how you will execute on the day of the exam. Now, once we have established the ground rules, please make sure that you understand the level 1 and level 2 very clearly. Level 1 will help you to clear civil service cutoff and sometimes can also help you to clear IFoS cutoff. Level 2 will help you to increase your probability of clearing IFoS cutoff. So first, let us understand what exactly is level 1 and how to approach and accomplish level 1. Now, level 1 has 3 components. The first component is your core basic subjects. The second component is your execution, and the third component is your current affairs. Now, let us focus on this core basic subjects. Any person who wants to clear the civil service cutoff or IFoS cutoff should always have a good grip on the core basic subjects. When I say good grip, it is a very subjective concept or a subjective matter to tell good grip. How to define or validate what exactly is good grip is, if I take any subject, and if I take a subject-wise paper of that particular subject, now there will be 100 questions. Let us assume that there are 100 questions on that particular subject. Within that subject-wise paper, there will always be some current affairs questions, there will be abstract questions and the core basic questions. Now, how to validate that you are actually strong in that particular subject is, remove the current affairs question, remove the abstract questions, and whatever leftover core basic question is there, when you solve them, and if you are able to get 90% accuracy in those questions, that means that you are strong in that basics. Let me give you an example. Let us say that you have studied polity. Now you want to test your validity of how strong you are in polity. Let us say that you took a polity full-length subject-wise paper. In that full-length subject-wise paper, remove all the current affairs and remove all the abstract questions. In the core polity questions, if you are getting 90% accuracy, that means out of 100 questions, if you remove current affairs and abstract questions and only 50 questions are left behind, and these 50 questions are the core polity questions, out of the 50 core polity questions, you should be scoring more than 45. If you are getting more than 90% accuracy, that means you are really strong in polity. Like that, if you are able to get 90% accuracy in all the 8 core subjects, that means polity, economy, geography, environment, science and technology, international relations, ancient, medieval and art and culture, and modern India. If you are able to get 90% accuracy in all these 8 core subjects, that means you are very strong in basics. And this forms the first pillar in your level 1. The second pillar of level 1 is execution. Execution comes with more practice, and practice should be done only by taking mock tests. When you take mock tests, you will execute better. What does it mean? It means that you are able to maintain the high energy levels from the first question to the last question. Second, you are able to read all the 100 questions in the span of just 45 minutes. I meant reading, I did not mean solving. If you are able to read all the 100 questions in 45 minutes, that means you have very good assimilation capacity. Third, if you are able to maintain your temptations and emotions and not take unnecessary risk, that is another skill that comes with execution. And the last is taking necessary calculated risks. That means using logic to deduce the answer, using hints in the question paper to deduce the answer, or trying to use some elimination technique to deduce the answer. These are all skills that you will develop by executing a lot of mock tests. So your execution will become stronger if you practice more, and should practice more in the form of mock tests, because it is in this mock test that you will develop skills, applying logic, maintaining your presence of mind, maintaining your emotions, and maintaining that composure to read all the questions in very short period of time. Now, in this execution pillar, I would always suggest you to at least solve 25 to 30 mock tests, and out of the 25 to 30 mock tests, you should be solving at least 15 full-length tests, and in that 15 full-length tests, you should be getting good marks. And when I say good marks, it does not mean more than 100 or more than 120. It means you are consistently scoring above average in all the 15 full-length papers. That means you are executing well in all the mock tests. That means you have accomplished the execution stage in the level 1. The third pillar in level 1 is current affairs. Now here, many people will feel that they have not done the newspapers and hence are they missing out anything? Understand that doing newspapers is mainly for mains exam, it is less for prelims. So most of the students, and when I say most, it means 90% of the students who are going to appear for prelims will be banking on some compilations of any institute. So I also want you to do the same thing. What I mean is, take one compilation of any one institute and make sure that you at least revise it 3 times. So when you revise it 3 times, one one compilation of one institute, if you revise it 3 times, that means you have accomplished the current affairs part of the level 1. So to summarize what exactly is level 1 is to be strong in your basics, to make sure that you have executional skills, and the third is to have revised current affairs of one institute's compilation. If you have done all the 3, that means you have accomplished level 1. Now, as I told you before, level 1 is very critical for your success in prelims because level 1 helps you to clear civil service cutoff, and sometimes level 1 itself will help you to clear IFS cutoff also. The next is level 2. It is this level 2 that will increase your probability of clearing IFS cutoff by helping you score that extra 10 to 15 marks. Now, how do we do it? Is by selectively focusing on a few components of your paper, and that is one is world mapping, the second is science and technology, the third is environment, and the fourth is Indian geography. So the first thing to focus in level 2 is world mapping. World mapping includes both static and dynamic, and when I say dynamic, it means places in news. Now, work extensively on world mapping because let us say that in world mapping they'll ask 6 questions. 3 questions will be easy to moderate, which everyone else will answer, but there will be 3 questions that are very, very difficult. And it is here where there is 3 difficult questions where you have to get at least 2 right, and if you can get 2 right, there you're creating an edge compared to others and you're getting that 6 marks extra. The second subject that you can focus on to take the edge is science and technology. Understand that in science and technology, there will be few questions that are very easy, there will be few questions that are very difficult. Very easy questions everyone will answer, very difficult questions no one will answer. It is here that very difficult questions is where you have to take an edge. The next question comes, how to take that edge in science and technology. Understand that everyone would have studied in level 1 some amount of science and technology. Now you have to build depth on that level 1 knowledge of science and technology, and this is how you have to build the depth. Now for instance, let us say that in your level 1 studies, when you're doing your science and technology, you learned about lithium ion batteries and sodium ion batteries. So you got to know there are 2 types of energy storage batteries that they use. You understood the pros and cons in level 1. Now in level 2, how to build depth on this is, you should always build depth by taking more science and technology subject tests. What does it mean is, when you're solving science and technology subject wise tests, there if you come across 3 new type of energy storage technologies. For example, it can be solid state batteries, it can be flow batteries, it can be zinc air batteries. Let us say you came across these batteries in the test, then you make sure that you add on to the energy storage technology, and this is how you build depth. Let me give you another example to understand better. In level 1, let us say that you have studied nanotechnology. In your nanotechnology, you have studied that there are 2 types of nano-engineered materials. One is carbon-based nano-engineered material, another is metal-based nano-engineering material. When I say carbon-based nano-engineering materials, that means your carbon nanotubes, your fullerenes and graphene. When you say metal-engineered nanomaterials, that is your gold, silver or titanium dioxide. Now this is your basic knowledge that you have done in level 1. Now to build depth in science and technology, you will start solving a lot of science and technology subject-wise tests. It can be of any institute, it can be of any paper. Let us say that when you're solving a test, you came across a concept called dendrimers. Let us say you came across the concept called quantum dots. So these are 2 different nanomaterials that you had not studied in level 1, but you are coming across in level 2 just because you're solving more and more science and technology papers. So understand that concepts and add it to your nanotechnology. So I have given you 2 examples of how to build depth in science and technology. So if you have seen the 2 examples, I am telling you to build depth not by reading new materials, but to solve more and more science and technology based papers so that you are exposed to new emerging technologies in that particular domain that you can keep adding and building depth. So this is how you can work on science and technology part in your level 2. The next subject where you can build depth is environment. Environmental subjects in the last few years have been very difficult, but it is here where the difficult questions come where you have to take the edge. Now understand that environment as a subject can be built depth in 2 ways. One, you have to build an example database, and the second is you have to build the factual information database. Now what exactly is example databases? When you are reading level 1 or when you are revising level 1, whatever keywords that comes in that reading of environment as a subject, all those keywords must be listed, and on that keywords at least 10 examples should be collected. Let me give an example. Let us say you came across terms like ceophytes, heliophytes, pseudostem, herbs, shrubs, exotic species, native species, link species, flagship species, keystone species. Any keyword that comes in the environment as a subject, make sure that you take that particular keyword and collect at least 10 examples on it. Then what happens when the UPSC asks different terms and asks you which of the following are leguminous plants, you will have very high probability that using these examples you will be able to get the right answer. So one is develop this example database. The next is how to develop factual database in environment. For that, you have to list out all the important environmental areas in India. For example, it can be national parks, it can be wetlands, it can be biosphere reserves, it can be critical endangered endangered species. Don't do wildlife sanctuaries because there are too many. You can do wildlife sanctuaries that are there in use and species that are there in use. Otherwise, try to confine yourself to critical endangered species. Don't do too many. It will again be overburdened if you are trying to revise. So overall, try to list out all the environmental areas important in India and try to develop at least 2 or 3 unique points in that particular areas. So this is how you develop the factual database of environment. So overall, to summarize, within environment, you can work on example database and factual information database. So by doing this, there is very high probability that when they ask you a factual question in environment, you can use these examples and facts to eliminate and get to the right answer. The last part of level 2 is Indian geography. Understand that in recent times, Indian geography questions have also been difficult. They are also factual, and many people do not like Indian geography because it is so factual and they skip that particular subject and hence they do not answer. It is here you have to take an edge. It is here that you can actually get that extra marks where other students are not scoring. Overall, when I say Indian geography, you should understand which exactly is the focus area in Indian geography, and the focus area is Indian places. When I say Indian places, it may be places in use, the places that are not in use. They can ask you anything, so you should have a very good sense of different places of India. Now, how to develop that good sense of places in India is, 1, you should work on rivers, because rivers will in turn give you the network of different important places of India. Let me tell you how. By understanding the rivers very well, once you know rivers thoroughly, then on rivers, try to build a theme. That is, what are the important national parks on the river? What are the important wildlife sanctuaries on the river? What are the important glaciers? What are the important passes? What are the important temples, important ancient cities? Look at this. By knowing rivers and then building thematics on top of it, you have understood so many different places across India, and that will give you a solid grip of Indian places. Apart from this, you should always build more depth in Indian places by solving more tests on Indian geography. In Indian geography, when you solve more tests, you will be exposed to more places. Whenever you come across new and interesting places across India, make sure that you keep adding that to a particular book. That will help you to revise at the end much faster. So to just summarize, level 2 should always be worked selectively, and it should always be worked selectively by focusing on these subjects. The first is world mapping, the second is science and technology, the third is environment, and the fourth is Indian geography and in specific Indian places. Alright guys, one very important thing that I'm going to repeat again is level 1 is the most critical factor in your prelims preparation. If you're really good in level 1, you will definitely clear civil services cutoff, and there are very high chances that you can clear IFS cutoff also. So under any circumstances, don't overemphasize level 2 over level 1. And please follow this golden rule. This is very important, and that is, there is no secret strategy, there is no secret book, and there is no secret tricks in order to clear IFS cutoff. Forget the cutoff and just focus on the process. If your process is right, the results will definitely follow. When you walk into the exam hall, don't walk in with the mindset that you want to clear IFS cutoff. Just walk into the exam hall with an attitude that you are going to execute better. And if you can execute better without making any silly mistake, without trying to get nervous, managing your time properly, and making sure that your energy levels are equally distributed from first question to the last question, there are very high chances that you will clear IFS cutoff. If this video was helpful, please leave a feedback in the comment section, because that incentivizes us to work harder. And please share this video with as many people as possible, because that helps us to break complex topics and simplify it for you. That can help you in your UPSC preparation. Thank you so much for all the love and support. I'll see you again. Bye.